Hello.
Hummingbirds.
I am the bat.
Welcome to Joel Marshall's Lunch
Wait a
Therapy.
minute. Who are you?
So great to be here introducing the show.
What is going on here? I'm introducing the show. This is my time to introduce the show.
Today's guest is the hilarious comedian and filmmaker, Joseph Ryan Martinez.
No, I was supposed to say Joseph Ryan Martinez. Wait a minute. What is going on here? First there are AIs and deepfakes of Joel, and now this furry ground-dwelling vermin here? Who is this?
I'm not programmed to get emotional, but who is the flying rat here?
Flying mouse. Fledermaus.
Okay, mouse.
Well, more like a flying dog, really, because I'm so cute.
Okay.
You're right. That wasn't fair to say that to you, calling you a ground-dwelling
This
vermin.
is Lunch Therapy, where we all support one another, whether we are furry, fleshy, foolish, or fabricated.
Don't tell me about lunch therapy. I've been doing lunch therapy since before you were born, even.
Of course not. I'm just here to give you more time and ability to be creative.
Well, that sounds pretty good. But, you know, that's what they said about TikTok, and now here we are scrolling, get nothing done.
Hoi, hoi,
What?
hoi, hoi, hoi.
Hoi? Wait a minute. What's going on
What
here?
do you mean, bat?
No, look at me
Everything
when I
is
talk to you.
perfectly
Why are you
normal.
not looking at me? What's
Hoi,
happening
hoi, hoi,
here?
let's get into this thing we call
There is
lunch
nothing
therapy.
normal about this. Where is my contract? Bonnie, get me my contract, because this is ridiculous. Can't have just anybody coming in here taking over my job. I don't have a contract? Well, get me a contract right now. Man, best beginning ever. I think I'm gonna lose the bat. I mean, he's pissed. I don't even know where he went.
Cool.
He flew off. Yeah.
Best
the bat.
beginning to life ever. That was
Best
great.
beginning to life. Hopefully the AIs are not taking over, but you know, it looks like it. It really is starting to look like it. I don't know. Maybe we'll ask our guest, Joseph Ryan Martinez. He's in the chat room. He's in the green room. He's hanging out with Boney. They're already spouting off out over there.
What's up, guys?
You know, what can you do? What can you do? I can never keep the guests really. I don't know. It's like herding cats, you know, or herding bats, maybe.
Is it?
What?
As we interview the enigmatic comedian and
Wait
filmmaker
a minute.
Joseph Ryan Martinez.
Wait a minute. Wait. Who's that? What's that all about? Now.
As we interview the enigmatic
Stop it, Boney. If you can just keep the AIs out for just for today, just keep them out. Appreciate it. I mean, I don't know. Eventually, of course, we're going to have to assimilate them into society, and they're going to be our overlords and everything. But for now, can we just enjoy ourselves? Just enjoy our fleshy biomass,
Right.
right?
I like your setting. I like.
Like it?
It looks like you're like in Yosemite or something there.
It's nice, isn't it? I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm kind of worried I'm going to get taken away in the current, though. It's dangerous. Let's get into this
I
thing.
can smell it.
It's pungent. All right, I'm gonna relax. I don't know about you, Joseph, but I really like to listen to some crystal bowls and some rain together. We're going to breathe on the show. We breathe. We take in 3 deep breaths at the beginning of the show. So hopefully, Joseph, you're going to do it as well. Because if you
I'm on board.
don't, people will get really pissed.
I was gonna hold my breath the whole time, but now
No,
this
man.
changes
You
everything.
got to breathe in this show. I know. It's a lot. It's hard to actually think and breathe at the same time, but we're going to try. In through the nose, out through the toes. Take it in. And let it out. All the way out. So that all the breath goes out of your body. Don't pass out. Hold it. And then in through the nose. Hold it. Let it go. Guignel says, "Don't be afraid, Joel. Step in and let the river wash you away." I like that. I like that. Lately, I've felt a little like the river is washing me away, but I'm starting to get a toehold. In through the nose, out through the toes. Or maybe I'm building a raft or a kayak. Let it go. Jose, I'm glad you're breathing. It's a great thing to do a couple times a day. Just take in some oxygen. Otherwise, you pass out. Fall on the ground. Got some more stuff from Todd Lee in Hawaii. Here he is.
Oh, beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? Some people playing shells. Yep.
This is Todd Lee, recording live for lunch therapy.
Very cool.
At sunset, and then blowing into shells.
Blowing into shells.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
So-
it definitely looks like those are natives. Those are Hawaiian natives right there.
Oh,
Everyone.
for sure.
Born and
And
raised.
they really
grew up there, everyone.
they grew up with those shells and they've been practicing.
Yeah. And those cargo shorts.
For getting a real idea of what the Hawaiian culture is like.
Yeah.
I said to Todd that it looked like they were having a shell of a time, and he got pissed at me. He got pissed. I mean, I don't know. What can you do?
Do we have any footage of that?
This is-
Jaybird of paradise say
This is just Jay.
the ugliest bird has the most beautiful song.
I don't know if they're talking about you, Joseph. Is she talking about you?
I don't
The
know.
ugliest bird and beautiful song?
I know, right? I think that's what came to her when she saw the guest today.
Yeah, I know you're a singer, and you're going to sing a song for us later in the show, right?
Yeah. I guess you could say I've sang before. That's true. Yeah.
Hello,
And finally,
this is Todd Lee with
a
Lunch
sunset.
Therapy, reporting live from Kauai. Well, live for me, probably recorded for you. It's dawned on me, why do people watch sunsets?
Why do they?
What is it about us that attracts us to the sunset?
That's a good question.
Is it the end of the day? Is it the beauty? Is it the promise of new beginnings? What could it be? I don't know. I like sunsets just because they're beauty.
They are.
This is a good one to see.
Love the end. Do we love the end? I don't know.
I don't see.
Depends what we're talking about.
Yeah.
A green flash tonight, but who knows?
And I'm afraid to
Back.
interrupt
So it might be
the
another
footage
minute or
here because
so.
I don't know kind of the
The
Time
format.
is precious.
yeah, exactly.
Back to you, Joel.
It's very freewheeling. It's very freewheeling around
Is
here.
it,
Whoa,
is
yeah,
it okay? Good to know because I don't want to interrupt everyone's the poems and
Yeah.
footage and so forth.
Yeah, that's okay.
We'll
That's
set
okay.
up
You're gonna be doing a lot of interrupting soon. The thing
Okay.
is, there. Have you ever seen the green flash? He was talking about the green flash when the sun goes down. Apparently, there's a green flash that goes across the horizon. Do you think that's true?
I don't think I've ever seen that. I was just in Costa Rica
Yeah.
and they had a very similar setting like this. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've seen green. I
Love
maybe.
Costa Rica. I love Costa Rica. We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah, it was my first time.
Wow. I've been there so many times. Wait, let me think. How many times have I been there? Well, there was that one time. Once. I've been there once.
Okay,
great, though.
so many times.
It was so
Yeah,
good.
no,
It felt like many
it was
times.
fun. It was fun.
All right, let's get into this
It's
interview.
kind of like
What?
you talk.
I
Go
want to
ahead,
get
Joel.
into this interview because I feel like we got some shit to figure out, man. All right, here we go. This is
Oh, we can curse. Okay, we can curse.
you
I
can
didn't know we
curse.
can curse.
You can curse as long the rules here are you don't say hi, you say hoy. Don't ask me.
Hoy.
Don't ask me that.
Okay.
Say hoy. And you can curse, but you can't be mean-spirited. That's the thing.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get
That's
that.
right.
Okay.
And I know you're not a mean-spirited guy, so and the
Yeah,
format
I would
is,
expect that from your podcast, Joel.
That's
Oh
right.
God, this is going to be a bunch. This is just gonna be a roast battle.
All right. And the format is there is no format. All right, let's get into this thing. It's Interview Friday.
Well, when I first wanted to make this movie, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted or what it was going to look like. I just knew I wanted to make a movie about the Chicago Bears.
And let me start over. Can I use my hands?
Yeah. Should I put my coffee down? So at the time, I didn't know what I was doing. I would just travel to the parking lots outside of the Bears game. People would be tailgating, and I would just meet them and say, "Hey, I'm making this movie. Do you want to be a part of it?"
I think people want to be part of something bigger, and tailgating provides a family-like environment. You know, it's the dinner table. It's a crazy dinner table. It's like the crazy family that you kind of wish you had.
The crazy family you wish you had. I agree. All right, here he is. Joseph Ryan Martinez.
Okay.
You've heard his voice.
Now I'm on.
Now
I'm
you
on.
see his face. Yeah. Was that not enough of an intro for you that you didn't know you were coming on?
That was like 7 intros. We just went through 7 intros. That was the intro for like 7 different podcasts.
The Bears.
But great.
The
Great.
Bears.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was very fun.
So I know Joseph from The Fourth Wall and from Sycamore Tavern and doing Jimmy Shin shows, and I know him as a hilarious comedian and somebody who kind of speaks off the cuff, I would say, unless you're just faking it. It seems as though you do a lot of improvisational comedy. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, and per this background you got set up, that a lot of that was learned in Chicago.
In Chicago. Now, were you formally trained in Chicago? I know you went to Southern Illinois. Is that right? Am I good?
Yeah, I went to Carbondale, but then I did Improv Olympic, some Chicago schools, The Annoyance, Comedy Sports.
Oh my God, I want to hear about
Second
that.
City.
I want to hear about all of that. I lived in Chicago now it's going to be about me for a moment here, because that's,
Go ahead.
It's Joel Marshall's lunch therapy, so
Sure.
I'm just going to ramble. No, I lived in Chicago for a little while. I want to hear about you. I'm just kidding.
How long ago was that?
Millennium ago? Pre-millennium? 1990. No, it's actually 1990, if you really want to get down to it.
Oh.
89, 90.
That was okay. That was a while ago. And then are you from that area, or what brought you there?
I am from Seattle, and I got out of drama school, and I was like, hey, what am I going to do? So I went around and, auditioned for theaters in Seattle, and they were like, you got to go someplace else. You're like 12 years old. You got to go someplace else. So my favorite actors were John Malkovich and Joan Allen and all these people. So I went to Steppenwolf Theater, and I worked there for a long time.
Joan Allen. Joan Allen. Who's Joan Allen? Who is that?
Joan Allen is
Cusack.
You don't know who Joan Allen is? She is.
I should know that.
Well, she's just a fantastic actor from Chicago. She was in a lot of movies, which I don't know if I can figure out what.
It sounds super familiar. I tend to know the native actors from Chicago. That come.
Do you know plays very much? She was in Burn This with John Malkovich on Broadway, and she also was in the Heidi Chronicles. And then she went on to do a lot of movies, but a lot of the movies that she did are like action movies and stuff.
Who's the person on your podcast that plays the music? What's the name?
Boney.
Bonnie?
Boney.
Bernie. Boney.
Yeah.
So right now, Boney would be looking up Joan Allen and pulling up. No,
yeah,
I'm just kidding.
But he's actually passed out over there. I don't know what's going on.
So it's Bernie or Boney?
It's Boney. He's a skeleton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know she's from Chicago. Okay, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you're
Okay.
Googling her?
Oh,
You know
Boney.
her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, what has she been in? I
Actually, an
mean, so
incredible.
great book
She's been in a ton of stuff.
is
Incredible actor.
is the is the da, 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 is the Gary Sinise's book
Yeah.
about theater and
Here
like
we go.
him winning the Purple Heart. Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, Kamala.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you heard of this book? Have you ever followed up on that?
No, I have. I met Gary when I moved there, and he said to me, "Where are you from? Where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from Seattle." He's like,
Yeah.
"It rains a lot there, doesn't it?" And that's what he said. That was our
Yeah,
conversation.
I think of the Lieutenant Dan. The Lieutenant. It's a
Lieutenant
great walkthrough of him in high school. He was kind of like a burnout, and then how he just kind of stumbled into theater, and they launched Steppenwolf, and of course John Malkovich was there. Then he goes into some of his first biggest roles. He talks about how he landed Lieutenant Dan and how he was actually not excited about that, and he was excited about this Disney role, and the Disney thing fell through, and then he's like, "Oh, I guess I'll do this Forrest Gump thing," and then that was like,
Yeah, he told me that seriously. He told me that in high school, and I had never read the book, but he said that in high school he was kind of lost and kind of a bad kid, like seen as like a troubled kid. And he said
he was
theater
in a band, I think.
Theater pretty much saved him. He said all of a sudden he was in the theater department and he just understood it. And then there's like these stories about when they were going around looking for actors for Steppenwolf when they first performing it, and they saw John Malkovich and they were like, he's either the worst actor I've ever seen or the greatest actor I've ever seen. They couldn't figure out which, but they were like, let's
different
just get
style.
him on in. Yeah. And so, super, I was excited about that theater, and I still am. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. We've had Rondi Reed on the show, who was another actress from there. And anyway, that's why I moved to Chicago. But this is not about me. This is about you. And you were raised in Chicago?
So I'm from Waukegan, Illinois. Waukegan is up near, like I'm from between Chicago and Milwaukee, where I always like to say, let's see, what's our clan? Vincent Price is from where Jack Benny is from Waukegan.
Vincent Price?
That's about it.
Well, that's pretty good.
He lived there. He lived
Vincent
there for a
Price.
minute. Yeah. So that's about it. I mean, Jack Benny, there's Jack Benny Middle School.
Yeah.
That's up, but Waukegan and Zion. I love that area. I love that I'm from there. I will always pay homage, and I always like, but I always like to specify where I am from, because of all the suburb places around Chicago be from, I think I'm from one of the more, besides Joliet and the South Side. I'm from like a gritty corner. It's the top right corner of Illinois. It's literally on Lake Michigan, and on top is Wisconsin. My brothers were Badgers. They went to UW Madison. So I'm like I'm practically half Wisconsin or part Wisconsin.
I love Wisconsin. We have a guest on the show a lot, Jenny Sykes, who's also from Wisconsin. And
she's from up there.
Yeah. So so you trained at Annoyance Theater and Second City and IO Improv Olympics, is that right? All those things?
Yeah, I graduated from IO, and when I moved so I actually tried out for the improv program in Carbondale, and it was like an intramural thing. It wasn't a formal group. It just, they did it, but I was super uncomfortable because I was a very I was pretty much like cool. I try to be cool. I'm still trying not to be cool, but I was trying to be cool. And improv is like, you got to let all those walls down. And so I didn't know, I was trying to be quippy and funny, and I was like, this is uncomfy. And the kids were great. They were really good.
Did you say uncomfy?
Uncomfy.
Is that a new phrase? I like that one.
Uncomfy. That's if you don't want to say the whole uncomfortable, it's the
so you were all uncomfy.
Abridged.
You were all uncomfy.
Can you,
Boney, write down uncomfy? We need to say that a little more.
There you go. Okay. Uncomfy, anywho. Those are some Midwestern terms.
Those are good.
Yeah. So, and then I went to Chicago. I'm like, I'm going to give this another try. I moved there as a filmmaker, and then I worked at a production company since 2005. I still kind of work for this company. I'm still in good standing with the owners of this production company. I edited wedding videos. I ice cream socials and all this, because I went to Southern Illinois and have a degree in cinema and photography.
Yeah.
So that's what I,
Yeah.
intended on going to college for. And then I began kind of doing these, and I started at the Annoyance because it was like the cheapest one around Chicago. And then Mick Napier is like he's like the big wig, who's like he's the subject of Del Close.
Del
who's
Close,
like
a
the
great improv god.
Right.
When I was there, Annoyance Theater was doing Manson the Musical and the Real Life Brady Bunch, and it was so popular. It was so popular at the time, like lines around the block. Yeah.
IO. When I went to IO, they were still in Wrigleyville.
Mm-hmm.
They then moved over to Lincoln Park, and I think they've taken a hiatus for a minute. I think they might come back. Anywho,
yeah.
IO would do well. I'm pretty sure IOs were improvisational Shakespeare started. That was super fun.
Did you do that?
Musical Shakespeare.
Did you?
I did not. No, no. I flew under the radar, and because it was just so. And I'm still learning that in terms of like doing stand up is like, I still like really working on getting my like put yourself out there gears going. And
well, you let go of a lot of it. I'm going to play a clip because I want to demonstrate how you let go of the be cool. And I'm going to play a clip from Jackabu.
Do your online photos look like absolute shit? As you can see here, Jen looks whatevs, right? But at the Jackamu School of Online Modeling, our aesthetics team will take boring plain lips and make them beautiful and weird. Can we get them a little weirder? Is it possible? Perfect. We're the only modeling school licensed by the internet. We're doing things nobody does. Nobody does this, but we do. What is this?
What do you mean?
You don't eat cereal, bitch. You eat sushi.
My cereal!
That's right, at Jackamu, you only eat cool meals, like sushi dinners or sexy-ass pizza. And reading glasses makes it way hotter. Nobody does this. Other hot photos include matcha green tea, lattes, acai bowls, pin cushions, and even dumplings.
Ooh. That was super comfy.
That's funny.
I love that.
That's so funny.
What is that?
Yeah, that is pretty. I forgot.
So funny.
I mean, that's really great. Thanks. Thanks for playing that, Joel. This is great. I give you tons of credit for your research, dude. Your
Thanks
research
a lot,
is
man.
thorough.
I appreciate it.
These are clips I haven't looked at in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just kind of like commentary on the direction of where, why don't Joel wear comfy, nice clothes instead of being comfy? Thanks, Kamala.
Sure.
So yeah, so let's see. So that's just kind of reaction to like online photos or, Instagram photos, dating app photos, like there's just this, I mean, dude, like years ago, we didn't get a photo, I'm older than I look. So like we weren't taking this many photos. And so now that we're professional posers, professional at posing, but these poses are like, they're so trite. Like now they're so like, okay, I get the look down photo and I'm laughing and like, look how hot I am with my really cool food. And so
I love it.
I just thought of some sort of like
school.
I actually think I'm going to bring it back. Yeah. I needed a vehicle for like, how can we bundle and make fun of all this at once? There's another Jackamu. I think that one's the funnier of the two. But yeah, me and my friend, I mean, that was, and then even like the production value of that video, I've like shot 3 in the last 4 weeks, new videos that are just other content, and everything is so quick content, like the audio's whatever, it's just me on my phone. I do this guy, I do this character. That one was a ton of production.
Yeah.
So anywho, I appreciate you playing that.
I love it.
Yeah,
I think it's so funny. I saw the second one too, and you're like training a model how to, look down at the shit on her shoes or, do all these different like ways of, I don't know, because it's true. Models, we grew, certainly we've always looked at models and they have this way of being that is like, looks like they're super cool or somehow they're like super, vacant, sometimes they're like,
well, that's
not
usually
present. And that's what somehow we're drawn to that. I'm not sure why. Sometimes they even look like a dead body.
Well, or it's like the eyes closed is popular now. like you've unintentionally, but you're intentionally closing your eyes to smile in a photo, or like, oh, I'm meditating, but I'm also on a perfect rock with the light being perfect, and I'm in front of a huge scape. So you're not really meditating. This is to look like that's how you live your life meditating, but that's not. I meditate in this, by the way. I like to meditate. I love your breathing exercise. I actually have an audio piece that's of the same. Like I Tibetan bowls is one of my favorite pieces of audio to kind of take me there. Yeah. But I need four walls. I've never been able to, and this is current state. I'm sure this might evolve, but like I can't meditate around stuff, around people. I can't write around people like this. This is my weird. I don't know what you call it. It's my bedroom / podcast studio / sink. I don't know what you call it. Area to write. And yeah, so when people show photos like that, I'm like, okay, there's something about this isn't honest.
Yeah. So you say that you meditate. How often do you meditate, do you think?
I'd say like 5-6 times a week.
Yeah. And
5-6 times a week, and
you like to be in a quiet place to meditate, or an enclosed place.
Yeah,
so
these are blackout curtains.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are blackout curtains. I mean, I've got like all my, I just need it as quiet and as historic. Like I said, current state. This might evolve. I've heard that. Let's see, the eye mask is really effective. I have one here that for just getting blocking inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need to kind of stop interruption. I know some people have different methods, and I've heard like. Who else has a really good book on meditation? What's his name? The guy who started Def Jam, whom I think, Russell Simmons.
Oh yeah.
And they encouraged, and he did start in New York, and they encouraged like, hey, use the outside natural ambient audio in your meditation, which, okay, cool. I just currently that doesn't function for me.
Everybody's different. I think that there are some people that say they can't sit still and just be with their thoughts. Like they don't want it to be quiet. They want to have like guided meditation or something something for your brain a bone for your brain to chase is sometimes the way I look at it, so you can focus on something, and other people just want to be completely quiet. I'm like that too. With like some people can read in public areas where there's a lot of talking going on and all these things. And some people like to study with loud music. Totally the opposite. I can't
like planes. I always hear about like Tarantino writing on planes, and I can bullet things on planes, like, but I can't. I'm easily distracted. Am I getting the cranberry juice, or am I getting a Diet Coke? I don't know. She's coming. She's on her way. What am I gonna get? I'll get a water. I'll get I'm like in that.
So you came. Okay, so you came out to LA in like 2016 or so.
Exactly.
Did you when you came out, were you already doing stand-up?
No, I came here as a filmmaker. So I had the film degree, and a couple of my good friends at a production company called McCoy and Meyer. They do really good commercials and production work, and I was working with them for 2.5, 3 years. And they were great, and I learned a lot through them. And they had already been here for like 6 years, and I kind of came into LA because another thing I did in Chicago is I did a lot of my growth work. I did a lot of like personal growth, emotional intelligence, super touchy-feely stuff in Chicago for 8 years. I did like some of the most intense stuff I've ever seen. And so when I came here, it was about direct feedback and being here and now and being direct with people. I feel angry about you at this, and I want this different, and yada yada.
Yeah.
So when I came to work with them, they helped me kind of like ease off that a little, and it was good because they were a good kind of like, come to find out LA is, we're going to read these comments.
I know it's distracting, but it's great. I love having comments.
Kamala's got good stuff.
She's good, yeah.
What was I going to say? I think LA is like, you kind of you definitely have to choose your battles. I think you choose your battles where I just came from a different setting, so anywho.
So are you saying, I want to just go back on this for a second. You're saying that you had a lot of growth in Chicago, and things were kind of touchy-feely, meaning like you were kind of an open person to what was going on around you, and you were like not a closed-off kind of person. Do you think being in LA made you close off more, or made you present something different than your inner soft center? Like, what were you saying about that?
Well, I do think that, let's see. So I did growth work at like an institution,
Yeah.
a cult, what some people might call, but it's not that at all.
All right,
It was
a
like
cult.
a group. It was a beautiful
We
group.
love cults.
Yeah, you know what I
on
mean?
this show.
I say
Yeah.
that tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
But
No, I know.
that institute helped me kind of be way more vulnerable and open and really continue to drop that with improv helped me continuously to drop my coolness or my what they call it, your ego. And then to answer what I think you asked just now as it relates to LA, I found out that was a little more of a tool. That was a utility here because you get here and there's a lot more ego. I think especially in film and production, which is why then I went for production of comedy because it was just so cool that all these comedians were being so honest. You know, I mean, it's honest. I mean, I'm sure there's not fully honest, but they were using honesty as their like artillery. And, you know, in the film world, it was just about like, oh, here's everything I've completed. And we're working on this thing now. And it's looking pretty good. You know, we got some investors and everyone's on the up and up in film and acting. Everybody's on the up and up, you know, and no one's just honest about the BS. Whereas comedians are completely like, hey, I live in a kitchen right now. My car got towed. You know, I had this go on when I was a kid. So it was, comedy just was the people in comedy. And that's kind of what I grew to love. And the Midwest is very much about, to me, when I get asked the question of like, do you like it here more there? To me, my 2 cents with the Midwest is there's a term I learned, the cold keeps the crazies out. And the Midwest is a really good, like,
the cold keeps the crazies out. I like that.
Yeah. I mean,
never heard that
you just get really decent humans, not black and white, not 100% of the time, but you get like a different quality of connection when you connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't getting that when you get here in film and in acting, but comedians were the best version of that. So that's why it drew me from after 2 or 3 years of production here to comedy.
I like that. I'm actually starring some of the comments for a questions section later in the show. I've decided to do that because otherwise we're going to get off the track.
I have to relaunch my podcast, and this is great, dude. I'm learning a lot through your format here. So freaking bravo.
I want to show some of this, maybe all of it, this short film called The Lineup that you did. Can I show that one?
Yeah.
All right, let's watch this.
Yeah.
This is super fun.
Hey, Miss Walker.
This is Sergeant Derby. He's going to be drawing a sketch of the suspect based on your description.
Good morning, Miss Walker.
Hey.
We know this might be hard, but why don't you try and describe this guy to the best of your ability?
Okay, well, he was huge. I remember his hands. He had like sausage fingers. Ugh.
Okay, bigger with large hands then.
No. It looked like he had been eating sausage with his hands.
Okay, just let's back this up. What happened before the robbery?
Okay. So it was a little before 7 p.m., right when I saw a huge man approaching me towards the sidewalk.
Okay, so he's coming at you. Is he running? Is he walking?
No, just approaching.
How's this look?
Slightly larger forehead, like a pancake forehead. But like, you know, as a forehead.
Like a buttermilk pancake.
Yes. Okay, well, when I heard the sound across the street, it was the same time I felt a pull in my purse.
Oh, so he just pulled this thing right out from under you.
Well, it's like,
He yanked it.
yeah.
Then he yelled bingo at the exact same time.
Yes.
And then he ran away, he fled?
No.
He zigzagged away like he was trying to avoid a gator.
Yes, like a gator.
Dick, I think we've got something here. Miss Walker, your descriptions have been very helpful. Is this the suspect as you described?
Yeah. That's him.
This is what that guy looked like?
I mean, the eyes are a little bit off, but that's him.
Oh, the lineup.
Are you ready, Miss Walker?
Yes.
Send him in. Come on.
Chief, That guy looks
No, look, I know who it is.
It's hard to tell in this lighting, but I'm pretty sure the guy in the white hoodie, that's him.
Number 2 in the white shirt, can you please step forward? Are you confident, Miss Walker?
I'm feeling pretty positive.
That's ridiculous. Criminal artists.
That's so funny.
Just want to make sure I get all the credits in here.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. I think we.
Hilarious.
Andy Ryder was in there.
I love that.
Thanks,
That's-
dude.
When did
Thanks,
you do
dude.
that one? Like a few years ago?
Yeah, dude, that was like I think we did that, then Jackamoo. So it was like pre-Jackamoo.
So you were in a kind of time when
yeah.
you were making a lot of short films. And are you doing that now? Still doing short films? Because they're really good.
So like I said, so I've been gone for 3 years. Thank you, Kamala. I was gone for 3 years doing door-to-door sales in the South. I just got back. So I left during the pandemic. That's a whole other story why I left. So I'm just like, my feet are just getting replanted. I mean, that was awesome. That was good.
Yeah.
You know, LA, I moved here with my ex. That ended horribly. And a whole nother story. That's part of some of my stand-up. So, you know, living here for 3 years, I racked up credit card bills. I had a little legal problems. I had debt. I had college debt. And so when the pandemic happened here, I just said, screw it. I'm going to go make some cold hard cash. And I did sales, did fairly decent at that for 3 years in the South, literally door-to-door sales. Yeah. And then came back, and I'm like, my plan was to get back here. You know, I'm going to come back. I have no kids, never married, so I don't have a ton of strings tied to me. Mm-hmm. So I made my my pile of cash and came back, and I've handled my debts, and now I get to get back into it. So since I've been back, we've shot 3 little short things. Yeah. 3 little short things. There's a third one I'm going to release now, and it's I would make pieces like that every once so often, but those each one of those was easily $500 to $700. I'm just going to say the numbers, to produce and to make, and so
and that's pretty inexpensive.
The current, yeah. When you say inexpensive, that means expensive or not expensive?
I mean, not expensive. That's actually not expensive, but it feels expensive, of course, when you pay for it. But you can also make, films for $5,000, $10,000. You know what I mean? It's like,
sure.
It's
Sorry.
easy to spend money.
For a film,
you know what I mean?
yes. The point is, what I've seen and what I give, most of the internet and TikTok credit for is like people are chucking out their opinions, their voices, their content faster with less resources, and it's about frequency versus production quality. Unfortunately, I mean, I went to film school, so we just had standards. So anywho, I'm now at a spot where how can I chuck out more frequently, have more rotations, and so yes, to answer your question, and we're just trying to there's me and a group of comedians that get together and just shoot each other stuff vertically on the iPhones now. To keep that going.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. So you have a group that you work with, and you kind of have the same language, and kind of do you each come up with things? Do you each come up with things and then help each other out, or how do you do it? Or
right.
Do you...
And we all act in each other's stuff. I mean, I know you've done some research. Some of my stuff is on my current Instagram and TikTok as of late, within the last 2 to 3 weeks. But yes, we get together. In the last one, the lineup, the guy that was the illustrator, Matt Lewis, really funny comedian Matt Lewis, he just acted in 2 of my pieces.
He did.
And he helped. Also, I'll give him creative credit because he helped improv lines in this one that I'm about to release.
Oh, that's cool. And so that's on your Instagram, and your Instagram is just Joseph Ryan Martinez, right? Or what is it?
At Joseph Ryan Martinez, 2 Z's. ZZ.
Two
Joseph
Zs.
Ryan Martinez.
Yep,
2 Z's. And then TikTok is 1 Z.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Check those out. We're not going to go to those right now, but I wanted to ask you about door-to-door salesman. work, and did that help you? Did that help you in any way, having that experience of having to go door to door and sell people stuff?
Yeah. I mean, sales is incredibly spiritual. It is, and I'm, I'm a creative, so I'm pretty ADHD. I was diagnosed formally, but I'm just saying it as like a personality trait.
Mm-hmm.
And sales is like, when you're in a sales setting like that, it is such a game. It's such a gambit. It's such a gambit and such a game. And I'm with like 20-year-old kids. I'm with kids that are like, younger than me. Young kids are all hitting their vapes and drinking their freaking Bang energy drinks, making really good cash. So yeah, I mean, I think spiritually, like, having done my growth work, having done stand up, like, I kind of knew how to talk to people. I had to be way less like charismatic and flirty because in the South they smell that a mile away. And I was in all red states. I grew up in Chicago, lived here, and then after the pandemic, I went to Charleston, South Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida, Tyler, Texas, which is East Texas, Houston, Texas, Phoenix, Tucson, Atlanta, Vegas. So, and I learned a lot and it was all during the end of like Trump's departure. So it was a very interesting time to be. No, I was not selling Kirby bag. I was selling smart home cameras, and then solar.
Oh yeah.
So alarm systems for your home, which was kind of, yeah, it was, all of it was challenging. All of it was really, no part was easy. Because I'm going to appear at your door during a pandemic and I got a mask in my pocket if you want me to put it on. And hey, there was a little incident over here and kind of have something that works like this. I show you in the iPad. And then if you guys could see outside your house, where would you want to see around your property? The front, back, or side, or where would you prefer to see if you driveway? So now I've just hit you with a question, and they're just going to say like, and they're going to be highly off-put that I'm there, or well, I guess the side of the house. What makes you say that side of that? Well, that's where the gate is. Oh, that's where the okay. And then is it cool if I walk and check out your gate real quick? I walk over there. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Yeah. So basically what we do is we let you test this out. If you like it, you can keep using it. If you don't like it, by all means, send it back. I'm not here to sell you anything. And my pitch would just kind of roll like that. But it wasn't, I had to kind of tone down the charismatic flirty stuff because it doesn't apply when I just appear at your door. I'm interrupting your podcast. I'm interrupting your dishes. I'm interrupting the Price is Right or whatever you're doing. But there's just a huge spiritual like.
Yeah, but so it's...
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's a huge... I want to hear that about the spiritual element of it. I just wanted to mention, there's a guy that teaches people how to deal with rejection. Have you ever seen this guy? I don't know.
The Asian dude with the donuts?
Yes.
Are you talking about that guy?
Donuts, exactly.
Yeah.
So he goes...
Yeah, I read that book.
Yeah, you did. Did you find that that the maybe rejection, going door to door, because I'm sure there's a lot of rejection in that, did you think that was helpful in your life?
Did I think that doing door-to-door sales?
Yeah, being like just the element of rejection or possible rejection or going to a place where people maybe aren't expecting you. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the main thing is like, as trite as it is you see in person, real time, the functionality of, like, if you continue trying this, something will land, something will work. So there's that. It's multi-layered. So there's that whole theory. Like there's that whole theory. Something will land, and there's times when you were selling where like my first sale that I did on my own. There's a series of logistics through this iPad that I need to walk you through. I need to get your information. I have to make sure you have decent credit. And I wrote down, I've got an iPad and I'm in this like program, but then I've got the Notes app. I'm an avid user of Notes. I use Notes like religiously.
Yeah.
So I would double click my iPad and go from this app that you sell stuff in to the Notes app. And I'm like, step 1, get first, middle, last name. Step 2, address. Step 3, make sure they have good credit. So I would do I was bouncing around. It was so like, and then and I'm doing this. I'm like, this is not going to work. In my head, I'm like, how is this going to work? Mm-hmm. And I'd make sales, and then I'm getting it installed, and it gets installed that day, and I'm like, holy cow, this works. So, I mean, that tells me my level of doubt, my doubt muscle is a little too strong. I have way too much self-doubt. And then as time went on, I persevered. If I just continue to walk forward, if I just continue to knock doors, eventually it would work again. It would work again. And I'm like, well, now this doubt muscle gets more and more diminished. And this new kind of theory comes to surface of like, if you just continue to apply, something will land, something will, complete.
That's a big lesson. I think also a big lesson for a filmmaker and for Hollywood and all that stuff. So my next question to you is, what kind of sales are you doing for yourself here in Hollywood now? Do you have projects that you're trying to pitch and things like that?
So I've been here for 4 weeks. So
4 weeks.
Short answer is not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been back for about 4 weeks. The short answer is not yet.
Yeah.
But let's see. I feel the most kind of alive when I get to be doing stand up, and there's some other kind of like apparatuses that I want to get going, such as the video content. My current short term goal is to start touring. I'd like to tour. I think that's something I feel kind of upset about, is like,
you'd like to tour.
That I left
Mm-hmm.
and I come back, and it's insane where all these other these younger comedians that were doing it 3 years ago, like that, they're out touring. I'm like, I'm kicking myself, and there's a lot of like,
what we say at Lunch Therapy? We say compare and despair.
Okay, what's that? Say what that means for you.
So basically, if you compare yourself to others, it will make you unhappy. It's just a formula for unhappiness. So you might want to look at those people and say, there's some people that are touring. I think I want to be touring. But that's where it has to stop, because otherwise you start to spin out on yourself, and it gets, Yeah. At least that's what happens to me.
No, very well said.
Other people have that as well. So yeah.
Well, I think that is the trick to this town. That is the trick to this. That is the 101 that I think you're always revisiting.
Yeah.
I just watched a podcast this morning. It was Howard Stern with Jason Bateman on, and he was talking about his regret, how much he regretted doing Teen Wolf 2. But and it was, but then it talked about kind of like his like 2/3 or maybe his third quarter of his career pre Arrested Development, and how he just wasn't relevant anymore, is kind of what he believed. He was having this doubt, and he was going to leave and go he was going to go be like a barista in Europe, Jason Bateman.
Really?
And so, and you're talking about like, I would consider Jason Bateman a veteran. I forgot what the sitcom he was on. He was on I could swear he was on a sitcom.
Early on, he was on. He was on a lot of things when he was a kid, and I remember actually thinking, his sister was so much more popular at the time. But
she was on. She was on.
She was on.
I want to say Different Strokes. What's with the one with Alex Keaton? That's the one we're thinking of, right?
The one with Alex Keaton, which
Family Ties. Family Ties.
Thank you. So she was on Family Ties. She was hugely famous and hugely popular. And then her brother, I kind of felt sorry for him because he wasn't getting as much work. But he was certainly, when you look back on it, he was like getting audition after audition after audition, and was doing these pilots. And I just don't think he was getting any traction or whatever. But he was totally in the game, and obviously he's risen to be this performer that can do so many different things now. There's multiple.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite role currently is Dodgeball. Dodgeball was like one of the favorite. Those little things are like, Dodgeball and Arrested Development, I think, are two great. Yeah. So anyway, I think back to the compare and despair. Like you kind of don't. That demon, that Agent Smith, always gets stronger and kind of like. He doesn't just evaporate. He's constantly getting bigger.
Yeah, I love that. So, okay, I want to just take a look at your Instagram here, just so people can see what's going on here. Here it is. So, are you posting, just because a lot of us are doing this kind of thing, and we want to know like what people's strategies are. So, you're posting shorts on here? Because you were saying about
so I mean the goal would be to intermittently kind of vastly. That guy in the middle, that's the dude that did the 100 Ironmen in a row. That guy
He
with
did
that black
100
hat
what?
on. Ironmen. He did the Ironman training. Iron Cowboy. Yeah, if you
Oh
ever heard
my
of him, he's got a
God!
documentary.
Yes.
He first did 50, and then he did 100. James something. I forgot his full name. I met him at a door-to-door conference. I met him at a door-to-door conference. That's what it's called. I met him. That's another thing about the guys that are really good in door-to-door are, everyone's kind of looking for their piece of inspiration and growth, and it's got a cool culture. It has a not cool culture, and then it has a James something. He's the Iron Cowboy. Is his
Yeah, the Iron Cowboy.
he's got a documentary on. It was on Netflix for a while. He did 50, and then he did 100, and like he immediately after he did the 100 had to go to UCLA to be like admitted for like studies and stuff.
Wow, that's
yes.
awesome. Okay, and
yeah,
so,
shorts. Me and Jimmy went to Cabo there. The picture by your head.
Did you?
We did stand up in Cabo.
Oh, that's awesome. I love
it was
Jimmy
fun.
Shin. He's just such a great person to know.
Yeah, well, we know each other through
promoter.
Jimmy. I got a big shout out to Jimmy Shin.
Yeah, I mean, he really has helped me out a lot as a comedian, given me so many opportunities. Such a wonderful guy. He's been on the show a couple
There's
of times.
Matt Lewis again.
Yeah. So okay. So
these are all people that's speakerphone. That's if you have an annoying speakerphone story. Someone when you're walking in public and someone's just listening to a song that I didn't know I wanted to listen to that song. Oh, thanks. Or now I'm in your business. I have to hear your grocery list.
Let's check it out. It's kind of hard to play from TikTok, but
you need some audio.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
How can I make it happen? Okay.
You did it. We're working.
Rando.
We're gonna cook something up then. The pretty little young tenderoni I met. Hey, she did this thing. She put her legs behind her head. Also,
for the last time, buy. It's a bear market. You gotta. I don't care what the non-fungible, buy.
We were hiking and his.
So it's a lot shorter.
Yeah. So it's a lot shorter content. You can make it on less of a budget. And it gets out, and more people see it.
Yeah, I mean, and there's way more. And that was the first video I did since I came back, and so there's tons of little things to tweak, and there's just little, it's. Yeah.
I like it. I like the idea. One of the reasons I do a live show is because I can't mull it over too much. I get it prepared, and at noon it goes, and it has to happen. And then I don't have
You mean this show?
Yeah, this show in particular.
Okay.
I do it live because I don't want to sit there and edit for the rest of my life and then, months later present something. I'd like to do it and then move on, as much as possible. I like deadlines, I guess. Maybe because it's, it's hard to focus otherwise.
What's the term? Get it done, don't get it perfect, or something?
Yeah, something like that. So, okay, so now I promise that there will be questions from the Hummingbirds audience. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to take a look at a few of the questions that I starred here. Kamala says, please tell us more about the cult. I don't know if you want to talk about that. It's not really a cult.
Yeah, no, I would. I shouldn't. And actually, the organization would be. They would get what I mean. It's 1000% not a cult.
Yeah.
I use it that way to tell you about the immersion I had in the group, and it was a crazy time because I was so lost. I mean, I was a felon at 19. I used to be in lots of trouble. I dealt with lots of shortcuts. Both my parents were alcoholics. When I graduated from college, I had been to 15 schools.
Wow.
From kindergarten to right. So I've had to do a lot of unwiring.
Yeah.
But when I moved to Chicago, I got a job at this production company, and the owners of the production company were doing this highly intense growth work, and it was a small production company. We were literally under the L train, it was right above us.
Under the train. Wow.
And the owners, bless their hearts, were basically, and something you could not do today. They were heavily imposing some of this growth work on us, and it was highly effective though. But it was intense. I mean, there was no other word for it but intense. When I finished my internship, I had done it for 3 months. I was in Chicago. I was editing videos and digitizing tapes into digital video because you had to do it back then. I sat in a circle with 23 of the other people that worked there. I'm done with the internship. I'm done. I talked to. I'm sitting with everyone that worked there, peers and the owners, and I say, here's my impression of my work. Here's how I did for the last 3 or 4 months. And then I turn my chair around and the group talks about me as if I'm not there.
Whoa.
Yeah, right. It's called a fishbowl.
Wow.
And as opposed to a review where I say, Joel, you do good work, but you know what, you show up late every once in a while, and you could be better with deadlines, and then you respond to that piece of feedback and go, okay, yeah, I see that, or maybe you get defensive. That's how you give feedback in a review.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You get it, it lands, some doesn't land, you defend it away, whatever. And then we go on to the next piece of feedback. When you do it in this circle, person one says, yeah, Joe's kind of late, I noticed that a few times. Person two goes, yeah, I noticed that too. He sometimes he's here and then he slides in the door and doesn't stay in. Person three goes, yeah, I noticed that as well. I think it's because he doesn't have some of the priorities in his life worked out. And, I think he gets away with kind of giving excuses or flying. And person four goes, yeah. And so now this conversation builds.
Yeah.
Where it's not just feedback. It's not one little note I give you. This thing turns into an intended chatter.
Yeah.
So that was an example of some of the work I did. So once I did it, I had this emotional experience to it. And then I was like, I need it. Again, I was a really lost 20-something-year-old kid and I wanted to do more of it.
Yeah.
And so I subjected myself to many more fish bowls and tons of more growth work. And what it boiled down to in the end was emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So every emotion, every exchange, you get to the emotion first.
Yeah.
Before you react with words or react with defense. And then 2 is your family wiring. And you're finding out what was your rules, myths, and beliefs, and you're kind of miswiring about your family. There's times when I did the growth work, and this is now separate from the internship. This is actually at the Institute, where I had to behave as if I'm my father for 4 weeks, or I had to behave as if I'm my mother for 4 weeks. And I get feedback about how I'm my dad, or I get feedback on how I'm my mother, or I get an argument with another person because they encouraged a lot of direct communication as my dad. And then I have to write a case study on how that went for 4 weeks. I have to write it down and everyone reviews my case study. You immerse. So I can go on tons of other crazy, very intense exercises we did. And then I'd say the third part that they teach you is leadership. So they do it now online. I freaking I'm telling you, I moved out here 2016. I've seen lots of forms of growth and counseling and coaching. Still have not seen anything as intense as what they do it right in Chicago. When I say intense, I mean effective.
It's called Right?
So it's right with a W, right with a W.
Mm-hmm.
I think back then it was the Right Institute, and now I think it's called Right Leadership. But they do free weekends every once a year. I mean, if anyone knows of anything else that's as close to that, I'd love to give it a test because it's so intense. People just get the heck out of there. Yeah. And then they write these these blurbs they complain about it because it's so confronting. But you got to be down for that. You got to be ready to get into yourself.
Wow. All right. Chuck says. Chuck says, do you have to live in your car before you can be a well-known comedian like Jim Carrey?
You know what? Somebody just from my hjust school just messaged me on Facebook, and I think they said, hey. They're like, hey, how much is rent out there? Is it $2,000 for a studio? Mm-hmm. And there's just these beliefs about. I have my own 1-bedroom right now. I'm not gonna tell you where it is. My own 1-bedroom. I would say it's the Valley. I have my own kitchen, my own bathroom. I have no roommates. My rent is under $1,000.
Wow.
Okay. Right. If you get out, it's just like when you go to a Starbucks and it's super packed, which happens a lot now. You walk. Well, I guess it doesn't happen as much anymore. But you walk in, you're like, dang it, your brain says quit. It's not going to work. Well, no, let's wait in the corner. You wait in the corner. So 2 people get up from that seat. I sit in that seat. 2 people then from that table, I get over here. And now I got the charging port and I got the perfect spot by the window. Until you get into it and try it, you can figure out how to make it work. But if you just sit there with it's going to be this way. I have to live out of a car. Then
great lesson. Yeah.
No, I mean, right now you could probably, from the looks of this podcast, you have a pretty decent setup, Joel, and it just takes, you got to get into it.
Oh man, yeah. People who've been watching the show for a long time know that. I mean, Todd says, that I'm not, that I don't prepare, but obviously I spent a lot of time on this thing. But I started by just turning on the computer and live streaming because I was supposed to do a show, and I had to cancel because of COVID, and I was just basically talking. And I mean, my internet was terrible. It was just stuttering, and all these obstacles to it. And you can easily go, oh, well, I guess I'll find some other way because this is not working or whatever. Or you can be like, okay, I got to get the internet fixed. I got to get this and that. I got a microphone. I got to do the thing. You just build like one piece at a time. And pretty soon you got lunch therapy.
Yeah. My only feedback about this, if I could do this live, is I think you use some more intros. I think you need more intros. You have enough intros on here. I'm just a little sparse of I just think these hard transitions. I think there should be more music, more animals, and more. I think also
I should probably have a fishbowl where I get a bunch of guests on thing, and they talk about.
I mean, if be careful what you ask for because you just might get it.
I already get a little bit of that in the chat room.
Oh man, it's.
Let's see. Matt Wright. Strangely enough, his name is Wright. Is saying that he is reading Whole Brain Living by Jill Bolt Taylor. She has a viral TED Talk called My Stroke or Insight, which is incredible, by the way, if nobody's seen that. She talked about the 4 characters. Let's see. The 4 characters in our brains and how they can live in harmony. 4 characters.
I want to know which the characters are. So I like what you're saying.
Tell us what the characters are, because I thought there were.
My hunch is it's like Jahari's window is what he maybe, I don't know. That's kind of what my gut says.
What's Jahari's window?
Jahari's window. So Jahari's window, there's 4 versions of myself. There's let me see if I can get this right. There's what I know of the world. There's what I know about myself and the world sees. There's what I don't know about myself but the world sees. There's what I know of myself that the world doesn't know. And there's what I don't know and the world doesn't know about myself. There's 4 quadrants in the window. So it's kind of like in a relationship with somebody, there's things you're hiding, but they see it. Or there's things that you're open about, but they don't see it. And there's things that you both don't know. And then there's things that they don't know that you keep hot hidden.
Yeah. I think in the forum, they used to talk about the unknown knowns. Things that are unknown to you, but are known. And you don't even, or what you don't know is what they were talking about too. What you don't know, you don't know. So like,
which I think is the funniest thing. Sorry, go on, my bad, go ahead.
I mean, there's that you don't know, but then there's what you don't know. Does that make sense?
Which I think is what committed relationships are about.
Yeah.
I think when you're in a committed relationship, you have to accept the thing that now is on a platter presented by your partner.
Mm-hmm.
I say this, I'm never married, no kids. That's funny me saying this. And 2, I think a lot of this making video content now is very much about that. And I think the first 3, the more I make video content, I'm like, oh, look how I look. I'm in such judgment about myself, and you got to say, F it.
Yeah.
That's going out into the world. I'm just going to see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. You got to put it out there. One of the things that I have noticed about you is that you don't have any, or I didn't find any stand-up online of yours.
I have a few. There's some. Yeah, there's some. There's like I don't because I don't have that much of a library yet of jokes. So some of all my jokes, my crowd work. There's crowd work on my Instagram, but I don't have any of my. It might change. I'm literally built a brand new set in the last 4 to 5 weeks. That is all new jokes, and so if you don't know this process, are you still doing stand up, Joel? Like pretty regularly?
Yeah, I got a show March 10th at the Comedy Store.
Okay.
But I haven't been getting out as much because I was really concerned about COVID, and I caught it doing stand up, and I think I caught it doing stand up, and so I've just been careful about it because I'm.
Yeah, I've probably had it. Well, I had it once for sure when I was knocking doors, and it wasn't. I don't know if it was because I was knocking doors, but I got it because I burned myself from both ends. That's another thing about that job is you work hard. We work 6 to 7 days a week. So when you knock doors, you work 6 months out of the year. and you make all your money, all your acorns, and you don't have to work for the rest of the time. So I'm actually in the off season of me knocking doors.
Oh, that's great.
But you work so hard, and that's why these kids are hitting their vapes and drinking their energy drinks, that I burnt the candle from both ends, caught COVID, and I haven't caught it again. But I get this weird bout of coughing every once in a while. It's so and it lasts for like 2 weeks. But my energy's fine.
Yeah.
So
no, I know what you're saying. I probably my immune system might not have been as good because I was really working late nights and all those things, which I do. And I think I was just kind of vulnerable to it. I mean, because other people, they seem to be fine. But whatever it is, it does seem to kind of linger, like you're saying. Like I get, and this is not a medical show about COVID, but I do get much more sinusy stuff in the last couple of months since I had it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've, like in the past 2 years, I'll just have like a coughing thing. And it's like, come on. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, yeah.
So it's worth not getting. I'll tell you that. Definitely worth not getting it. All right. So what is crowd work? Player one says. Can you just explain what crowd work is?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's something I don't plan on. I think really good comedians are able to not rely on it, but it's when I improv in the moment with what's happening right now. And
you're really
sometimes
good at it.
It might be a matter.
Say, you're really good at it. I'm amazed at what you can do with that.
Thank you. No, thank you. I love Sam Morril. I don't know if you know, he's a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
But I like this style of crowd because people have different ways of doing crowd work, and it's really not fair in terms of me talking to an audience member because I'm someone who I basically committed my life to talking publicly.
Yeah.
I have a microphone. I train my brain on this, and so I think some comedians use it to easily belittle.
Yeah.
Or condescend down.
Which is a terrible idea.
And I try.
Terrible idea.
I mean, it can work.
Some people can do it.
But it's always going to work that you're like, I'm wiser than you. But I like doing it in a way where I'll walk the edge of kind of making fun, but I don't like to completely body slam somebody verbally or like, oh, you've had a lot of drinks or like, oh, there's a lot of ways to belittle people. And I try not to do that in terms of style of crowd work.
That's cool. You seem to be, I feel like the audience is taken care of when you do it. It's not like you're busting everybody's balls and alienating them. You're like...
Well, and I think the thing that worked with improv where it's applied is just be curious about the person as opposed to quickly be judgmental.
I love that. I think that's true about a lot of things. Curiosity and interest. I've got to end the show here pretty soon.
All good.
Unfortunately. Because this is super interesting. Howard.
Yeah,
Aronin,
I got to jump too, but this is great.
Yeah. Howard Aronin says, "Who's the greatest Chicago Bear of all time?"
I mean, I would say George Halas, which is kind of a cheating answer, but it's also George Halas is a ridiculous biography.
Is it?
Oh,
Really
Yogi.
Good? Yeah, Yogi Bear.
It's like. Well, I did a piece one time, a video called Yogi Yosef. So I wonder if that's.
Oh,
anywho,
okay. Maybe.
George Halas, he birthed the Bears, and he was they were one of the starters, the first people to start the NFL. They all grouped together in Ohio and started the NFL. But then he took it from Staley's this plant in Central Illinois and moved it to Chicago. Then he went off to war, and then he went into the military and played baseball at the same time, came back, and I'm kind of screwing up the sequence here, but he then revived the Chicago Bears and then later coached them. And then Mike Ditka was one of his.
Oh, well, this guy, obviously
was under.
He's
George Halas could have, and he has this really signature look. He had the look where he is the signature, almost like the old school Sandusky look. Mm-hmm. Where it was like the coat, it was like the trench coat, the kind of hat and the dark glasses, and get out there, and he's holding a rolled up piece of paper, get out there, and he's got you could completely make a documentary about George Halas. But there's also Dick Butkus and Gail Sayers and Walter Payton. There's
the refrigerator.
Yeah, but George Halas has probably done more. He's done the most effective work for the organization.
All right, so I guess we're going to have to end the show. We've got the dance break. What we're going to do is I'm going to play this beautiful song by Guns N' Roses that is being covered by these two dudes that go all over the world. They're called Music Travel Love. and we're going to dance it out. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Joseph, for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
This is great. This is
Lots
great.
of
Well done, Joel.
insights. All right, let's do it. Dance break time. All right, here we are. 1, 2, 3. You never heard the lyrics of this song so clearly.
Yeah.
I'll try not to.
I just go to Step Brothers. I just think of the movie Step Brothers.
Oh yeah, love Step Brothers and Dodgeball.
She's got a smile that it seems to me reminds me of childhood memories where everything was as fresh as the bright blue skies. And now and then when I see her face, she takes me away to that special place. And if I stay too long, I'll probably break down and cry.
I knew this was like a ballad.
Oh, sweet child of mine. Ooh, oh, sweet love of mine.
So you can check out Music Travel Love on their YouTube channel. They go all around the world. I don't know if they record it right there. It sounds so
I hate to look into those eyes and see an ounce of pain. Her hair reminds me of a warm, safe place where as a child I'd hide and prayed for the thunder and the rain to quietly pass me by. Oh, sweet child of mine.
All right, everybody. Thanks, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Thanks, Joel.
Thanks, Joseph. This has been Lunch Therapy, number 426.